Okay, so if we look at these things with the driver then, Luke, as we said, stance setup was a little bit narrow.
Okay.
That to me, there's probably about the absolute minimum we want the sort of stance to be there, okay? I think you have gone a little bit wider. Your 7-iron certainly was very, very narrow, okay? But the main issue now in terms of your swing, I think, is understanding the sort of concept of what creates speed, not trying to create power. So many golfers, when they lose distance at the ball high or not going as far as they want to, they try and increase the power using the bigger, stronger muscles, chest, hips and torso, and kind of, they try and spin them as fast as they can, okay? You've got to think at address, there is like a laser beam there and the club shaft's pointing there, okay? As we go to the top of the backswing, okay? That's the backswing, sorry. The golf ball, there we go. As you go to the top of the backswing, your chest now is facing there and the club now is facing there. Basically a full 180 degrees different direction, okay? So we've got to try and get that golf club now all the way from up here, travelling that 10, 12, 15 feet back to the golf ball, whereas your torso, your right shoulder's gone from here at setup and gone backwards maybe 18 inches. So that club's got to do a lot of travel before that body gets back to target, okay? Which is why when people first make this, you think, oh crikey, that body's not moving at all. Your body hasn't got to go far for that shoulder to turn around there, but your club's got to go all that way, okay? So the feeling of keeping your back to target for longer, let that club kind of come down, your body will unwind. It's impossible not to unwind it, but the sensation your club's going to catch up and basically hit the golf ball now as you come back to impact, everything now kind of all lined up to the golf ball and the release of power and speed. Now you won't sort of see it so much in impact, okay? This one here now, at impact, there's kind of your impact there now. It's hard to sort of pinpoint those two things there because it's obviously in black and stuff and you can't see the difference in your jumper. But as we go through the ball here now, if I go to kind of that frame there now and this frame here now, you can see how much more twist, well, you're the same spot there, how much more twist there is in your body there. Your knees are coming around more, your lower half's moving. If I go back that frame there and back there, I suppose, yeah. You're spinning around a lot more with this one, okay? Your left shoulder's turned out of the way a lot more. And when you finish the swing there now, your right foot really kind of like, you see your right foot, how much movement is sort of really trying to go after it, okay? Whereas this one here now, we're trying to just keep it there. Now your right foot, yeah, a little bit more I suppose there, but at least the back of that foot now is a bit more kind of, there's a bit less body turn, and that's it. I think you've got to realise that, and the ball foot's telling you right in the ball better obviously, you've got to feel that your body's got to work a little bit quieter. So that phrase that we hear all the time, when I swing it slower it goes further. What you're not swinging slow is the club head. And you said in the past that I've always got a fast swing. The thing with your golf is that was not going, the golf club wasn't going fast. What you had going fast was these and these. They were just spinning as fast as they could. There was no kind of like braking system where you sort of load the power up and come back down to impact and then sort of stop and let the club overtake. You were trying to spin as fast as you can.
When you get to the top of the swing, is it like a or something just to, like, should I be consciously...
I would consciously think about your back sort of staying to target for longer as much as you can. It's very, very... Well, it's not difficult to do, it's impossible to actually do it, but the feeling of doing it. So when you're here now, what a lot of people actually feel, if, again, it depends a lot on people's flexibility, if they can keep their shoulders kind of up here and the lower half to start unwinding, then that's going to create a lot more kind of separation and kind of torque and speed. There's going to be a kind of catapult and elastic band sort of been pulled back to release more speed to the golf ball, okay? If we find that tricky to move, just basically get your hips and your shoulders to be quieter, and then the club can then catch up as it needs to, okay? If you try and spin your shoulders, spin your hips from the top of the backswing, your body just gets basically ahead of the club, aims way left over here kind of impact, and the club's back here somewhere, and that's the sort of shot you're going to get, a high weaky cut you into the right. And then once the ball starts going off to the right, you then try and stop going right by just swinging further left, but the club face aiming over here in the path following that blue line increases the side spin, which reduces the distance, hit the ball higher. And I say all the golf ball knows is the angle of the metal hitting it. So if you say, it might say driver and have a big mass on the back and have a real long shaft, but if you're making contact with 25 degrees of loft and coming across it, the ball goes, okay, fine, I'll loop up in the air and cut off to the right there. That's probably the first time, I guess, in a while you actually almost intentionally, I suppose, hit draws. Now, yes, they're starting left. That's to be expected because obviously your bad shot's been off to the right. So the thought for you to start the ball right to target or at target just pretty scary, which is like, you can't do that. Okay, but once you see a lot of golf balls going a bit more to the left and you're able to square the club face up and just basically learn club face control, and how you do that. I think so many guys twist and spin their hips so much in their shoulders because they've seen, they've heard, or they've watched videos and stuff and read magazines where people say, oh yeah, power comes from the hips. Well, yeah, technically your speed and power does come from the hips, but it's the hip movement that creates this kind of like tightening and torque sort of in the downswing that allows your arms to speed through. If you just go that way. I use the example of throwing a ball. You wouldn't throw a ball with your hip and your elbow on your hip and just do that with your arm is back there, separate, the head covering the arm and all that kind of rubbish people do. Or stick their arms this way. Just know where to go. Your arms separate and speed. So you want speed with the arms, okay? We don't want power. The bigger muscles generally use more for chipping and pitching to try and slow the club face down. Use the big muscles to try and turn the club face, almost stays behind and just deadens the shot. Which is why people, when they do sort of short game, often go too far because they don't use their hands and arms because the body's quieter. Because they think, in my mind, I don't use the big muscles, that goes too far. They quieten the body down, hands come in, the ball flies 20 yards too far. So get understanding what we're trying to use in terms of body parts. That's what you're looking at. From the top of the bat now, you can keep that lower half, keep the top half, as I say, quieter to impact the feeling for you there. I mean, that's kind of, the ball's just about starting to be hit there, so not far from impact there. Okay, and your shoulders to me look a lot more kind of face on, your chest is more kind of in that position, able to release the club through. There's a bit more kind of almost separate arm movement as you go through your arm, sort of like swing and release through that way, whereas this one to me looks a little bit kind of like left arm just sort of pulling into your body. It looks a bit sort of like stuck and a bit tight with your arms, and there's not much speed when you do that. Okay, does that make sense then? Yeah. Good. Excellent. Very good.